We're going to work through a 4-step method for taking our professional shop talk, the reports and the spreadsheets and the studies and the findings of watersheds and impervious surfaces and biodiversity and hydrographs and all that work. We're going to start there because that's where we got to start, because that's what we do. And that's fine. Then we're going to move through the 4-step method for turning that into action language for regular people. We'll begin with the behavior that they want. We'll move on to the pictures, because pictures worth 1,000 words. Learn to scrub the shop talk. And finally, insert the magic words that work. And the key thing I want you to be thinking about, always on your mind as you're going through this, is give them confidence. Make them feel good and make them feel important about what we're asking them to do. Let's imagine that question. Recently bought an environmentally friendly product. Who bought it? Person on the left. Reminded others to be environmentally conscious. Who did it? Without the media, we become incredibly dependent on word of mouth. People do not relay what they are not confident they understand. Who voted for the environmental candidate? Cynicism is very bad for us. Sarcasm is very bad for us. There's a really important link between behavior and word of mouth. Begin with behavior. One is we do want people to do things for the environment, and we also want them to talk about us, remind others to be environmentally conscious. These things are closely linked. Here's a photo on Flickr. Best first date ever. Which is the more likely conversation on the best date ever? People talk about what they do. People talk about what they do. So if you want them to talk, you got to give them something to do. We need to make people feel involved in our work for them to talk about it, for them to follow through on it. They got to have a say in it. They need you to tell them. We often want to educate them and then we hope they're going to figure it out. But when you're on the other side, you're saying, aren't you, you should tell me. You're the one who knows what I need to do. So let's consider acid rain for a moment. There's lots of ways for people to make a difference. What causes acid rain? Coal-fired power plants. If you buy a high-efficiency light bulb, you're fighting acid rain, aren't you? How can you fight acid rain as a citizen? I'm thinking about like voting, calling your congressman, signing a petition, volunteer for Georgia River Network. I highly encourage that. You have to think about it, don't you? What are the ways that we can do it? Now, you're all environmental professionals, college-educated people, regular folks out there. They really need you to tell them what they can do. That's why it's step 1. Begin with behavior. And as you sit down to write your speech, prepare your PowerPoint, write that press release, write your fundraising letter, whatever it's going to be, you got to tell them what they can do. Humans imitate behavior that they see, and the images are more powerful than the words. You want people to put a rain barrel on the house, what do you show? Do you show a picture of the problem or the solution? Show a picture of the solution. If you want people to go out and pick up garbage off the river, do you show them how bad the garbage is, or do you show them how much fun it is? You show the picture that you want people to imitate. Here's the one. This gets me. I think this may be the worst thing I've ever seen. Who would have guessed that insisting on biodegradable cafeteria utensils would brand Joyce as the company subversive? And this is trying to get people to come out to the local green festival. So what they are showing people is their absolute worst fear. Why don't you come on down for waterboarding? It'll be great. People will laugh at you. People will think, they look at this picture now and they see this woman like cringing with embarrassment because everybody thinks she's the company subversive. They've shown them a picture and they send them a caption that evokes people's worst fears. What's the better picture here? The picture on the left is the more inclusive picture. The picture on the left is more people are going to relate to it. The more the subject in the picture resembles the person looking at the picture, the more powerful that image is. What's the better picture here? They're both pretty good, but more people doing it, they're all smiling, they're doing it together, they're having a good time. That's more powerful. Babies are great. Pictures of babies are great. Pictures of faces and eyes of any kind are great. I think before and after photos are great. And actually, as a community, we're pretty good about before and after photos. So I don't spend a lot of time on it because you don't need to be reminded about that so much. The thing that we forget to do is to show people doing the good stuff. But I'm going to break people up into groups now because I'm going to start talking less and you're going to start talking more. And we're going to walk through, for the next couple of hours, we're going to go through all 4 steps. And at the end of these exercises, you will have transformed your piece of writing into something that an everyday citizen would understand and will respond to. And so now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to begin with behavior. So I've made a short list of 5 different kinds of behavior that everyday people can do to make a difference about the issues and problems that are described on your piece of paper. Get to know each other, get familiar with the subject matter of your web page, and make your best guess on what a non-professional could do about the issue that is described there.
It was difficult for our group to think about this because the way they consider water rights in the West are very different from they consider water rights here.
So we want people to volunteer to put up posters and make speeches to groups that would specifically be using the river and to help us build some scrub stations near these takeout points. We need them to donate money so they can, we can build these cleanup stations and posters.
Now, it is great that you came up with so many behaviors, but for the remainder of the exercises, and I know what's coming for you, it'll be easiest if you stay with the change a personal habit coming out of the river and throwing your clothes in the microwave for an hour or whatever it is that you're supposed to do to kill the rocks. Now,
that was our main one.
So would a behavior be have your septic system inspected?
Yes.
Or buy a rain barrel?
Sure.
Did you pick one?
We did not. we were diffused, man.
Pick one.
All things to all people.
For the purposes of this exercise, pick one. We're going to give you a hint. As a default, you can always go back to, please make a gift to support our important work. That's right.
We don't see a call to action.
That's right. Your job is to invent one. All of these pieces are written to provide information. None of them have been written to motivate somebody to do something. And we're going to translate them. We're going to transform them. We're going to take that clay and we're going to smush it back up. And then we're going to put it on the wheel and it'll be totally different, but it'll still be the same. There'll be truth to it. So whatever that issue is, how could somebody help? Could they come volunteer for a cleanup? Could they put a rain barrel on their house? Could you just make a $25 donation to support our important work? We're going to report out. Each group, one spokesman for that group is going to stand up and tell us the issue is
based on watershed restoration. So doing either rain gardens or rain barrels.
Not a lot of sexy pictures for septic tank maintenance. So we came up with just an image very similar to what we saw earlier, which was, father and daughter playing in a clean river.
To have people vote for candidates that would support that position.
Okay. Terrific. Vote for the candidate who supports the water bank. Great. Mm-hmm. You should have one clear call to action per communication, whatever it is, per email, per sign, per presentation. You should have a clear one. I think that when you give people the list of 20 million tips, that the usual reaction is, I don't know which one's important, I don't know what to do. I'm not confident at my ability to make a good choice out of this list. Another reason is that it's really important to make people feel that other people are doing it. And so if you steer everybody to the same behavior, and they all do the behavior, they'll see other people doing the behavior, and that's a very positive thing for us. But if you send people into 20 different directions, they won't see other people doing it, and that is an inhibitor.